Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another installment to the daily races on Gran Turismo 7. This week we're at Spa in Group 3 cars, and we're on soft compound tires, which is a lot of grip. There's a lot of grip on this track with these tires, and I'm actually running today. I'm using the Toyota Supra. I've ran this race several times this week with just other cars, just experimenting with different things. And I found that the Supra is the best track for this course because it has such good straight line speed. And it's easy to control in this high speed section that I'm coming up on. In the very first turn, there's a bad incident right here, and it's like it was a collision. And I actually went back to look at the replay, and it looks like whoever was driving, they didn't even stop. So I don't know if they had a glitch on their wheel or something like that, but they just totally just took out the two or three cars, and I immediately pulled up 5 positions from 9 to 5. And this high speed turn here, I'm in 6th gear in this car, and it's perfect because I think when you're running other cars, like in 5th gear, you're at the top of the rev limiter when you're in the power. It's harder to control the car, but it seems like when you carry a little bit more speed in higher gear, it's easier to keep your car within the penalty range. And I got a penalty, of course, the first lap, but I don't get any more, for the rest of the race, So anyway, so I'm up in 5th place here, and this was probably the best race I've had in some time on daily races. This was a mixed lobby of A drivers, B drivers, and C drivers. I am in C class right now, but I've just come to the realization that I'm not going to really worry about what class I'm in anymore, because it seems like, it's impossible to move up a lot in daily races on Gran Turismo if you don't have time to just put in the races in day after day. It's like if my goal was to get to B class or A class and get there, I would spend more time, but you can easily come out, and depending on what kind of race you get, you could be in first place and somebody can take you out and not get a penalty here, and your race is ruined, and it kills your DR rating. So it's just impossible. These races are hit and miss in Gran Turismo 7. It's like Polyphony really needs to do something about the penalty system, because I'm a pretty safe driver and pretty conscious, but I did the same race earlier this week, and I was in a Porsche, and somebody went off the track and came back on and ran me off the course and didn't even receive a penalty. But at the end of the race, my GR rating dropped. So I don't understand how they do that. And plus, drivers out here, they're reckless, and they're just rude, because they take advantage of the slipstream that you can get especially when you're in a straightaway, to gain on the person that's in front of them. And what they'll do, once they get in your slipstream, they'll get in your area and they'll dive bomb you in the corner and push you off the course, and they can ruin your race. So there should be a penalty for that, because that's just dirty racing. Because there's been many times where I've gotten in the slipstream of someone, and the only way I'll make a pass if it's a missed opportunity. I'll make a pass without contact, but just out here, it's just so easy to not race clean and win the race and move up. So I quit worrying about my DR ratings. Anyway, so we're in lap 2. I'm in 5th place now. This is really close racing here, and for the most part, the drivers were pretty clean. I did have one incident where someone tapped me in the turn, but I don't think it was intentional. So, this was really a good race. It's really competitive. On these sticky compound tires, it was awesome too. I probably could make a lot more content than I normally put out than I could, but I think sometimes I get sidetracked because I get out in the daily races, and I'm such a person that wants to learn how everything works, that I'll try every car and see which one is better, and just try my same techniques to pick my meta car, because I don't really like to use the same meta cars like that are on the top 10, top 20, top 30, 100. I just run what I can drive the best. But I spent a lot of time in the Supra, which is a front engine rear traction car, and it's like I don't typically do well in these cars. I'm mainly an MR car person. It's like the Audi, the Alfa Romeo, the Renault. Those are my favorite cars, and I typically do better than those. So the Supra I've actually gotten pretty good at driving it. It's pretty good because it has a pretty short wheelbase, and it just seems like it's just easier to manage. I don't get as bad as oversteer in it because I've learned that in this car, when you're coming out of a turn, you don't use second, you short shift to third gear. That'll prevent a lot of oversteer. So I'm in fourth position right now. Like I said, in this lobby, there was three A drivers, several B racers, and and I'm back in C again, and me a C driver. I don't know if they fill the lobbies based on times, but the person that actually got pole position in this race was a C class driver, so it's probably the same situation as me. That in Gran Turismo 7, you really can't really go on DR ratings unless, especially in these lower lobbies, because it's really hard to move up. I think that in the higher lobbies, like the A lobbies, A plus lobbies, people have a tendency to have the racecraft is better, and they typically are a little bit more careful, and they're not as reckless. But in the C and B lobbies, there's going to be a lot of carnage because there's just a lot of people. They're fast, but I don't think that their racecraft is very good. It's like they're just reckless, and a lot of them play on controllers. And not trying to knock on people that that play on controllers, but I take that back. I am knocking on people that play on controllers. I play on a wheel, and I don't like racing against people that are on controllers because they drive really dicey, really twitchy. And typically, when you're side by side with this person that's on a controller, they have a tendency to hit you inadvertently, and it'll knock you off the track. And the way that the daily races are, it's not like when you're playing single player. How when you're going against the AI, if you tap, you don't lose control of the car. But it seems like if you barely tap somebody, and on daily races, you get damage to your car, you go off the track. It's just ridiculous. It's too easy, especially this isn't really what you call a hardcore sim. This is kind of a simcade because you have people out here in controllers. You think they would make it a little bit more forgiving for these small, incidents where there's collisions and stuff, and it's just a lot of it's just mistakes. Just having to play with controllers and stuff. So there's a lot more incidences because of that. So I'm on the end of the third lap. I'm in fourth place right now. I've pretty much ran a race without mistakes. It's really been a good race. I've actually mastered, how to brake. I've been just playing this so much, and I've learned that, when coming out of a straight line and braking, I don't start downshifting as I'm braking. I brake first and then I start downshifting. Somehow it makes the car a lot more settled, and it's like I don't outbrake myself by doing it that way. So that's a racing tip for the day. It's like when you're stopping and coming out of a straight, apply your brakes first. Don't start downshifting at the same time that you're braking, because the car will get unsettled that way. See, I didn't reach penalty limits. I'm in sixth gear right now. It's typically a place where most people are in fifth gear, but I'm in sixth gear. I'm not accelerating that fast, so I'm accelerating, but not as fast as I would be in fifth. So it's easier for me to keep the car within the bounds. Downshift in second gear with these sticky tires, with the soft tires, they just grip. Hitting the edge of the track, going to the inside, at the apex of the turn. This is just probably the funnest race I've had in a while. So I have to give my hats off to Turismo this week. Having this race at Spa and soft tires was really awesome. What I would like to see is that they start just having more races with dynamic weather. Like several weeks ago, a few months ago, we were at Nuremberg, and we had a race where it was dynamic weather with rain, and it's like I loved it. It was so much fun because it seemed so real. So I wish they would start having more races where they would, include dynamic weather, so you can pit and change tires and to racing wet intermediates, full wets, tires. That'd be awesome. Even some nice night races would be good too. Maybe that'll be something they'll do in race A in the future, where they'll throw in a race where, just for a specific car at nighttime. Maybe they'll do that in the future. So I'm on lap 4 right now. I'm still holding really good. No mistakes. It's been a good race. Fourth place. So right before this turn, I'm braking before I start downshifting. It's so much easier for me to nail this last turn because in the past, this final turn at Spa has been my nemesis. I would always overbrake myself. Since I've started just braking before downshifting, it's really made me do so much better. And I got a 2:19. It's like my qualifying time is 2:17, but during a race, it's really hard to get your peak qualifying time when you're on a track full of other drivers. So me making a 2:19 with on a course with other drivers, this has been one hell of a race. Nailed it perfectly. Sixth gear. Now this Supra will get up to 168 miles per hour. In other cars, I've tested other cars, and the most I could probably get is probably 165, 163. But this Supra can actually can get up to 170 if I hit it just right. So there's a lot of Porsches. There's the Porsche is also a really good car. They don't have a straight line speed, but it seems like the Porsches is such a good car for most of the daily races because they may not be the fastest in a straight line, but they seem to do really well, and they're really agile in the turns. So that's probably going to be my second car that I use in daily races. And then I have my Audi and my Alfa Romeo, all MR cars. So my favorite FR car now is the Toyota Supra. I know that. This guy on my tail is really making me work too. It's like he's not letting me breathe. Sometimes when you're having a race where you know that you're not going to win, when you got first place, it's really far away. If you have a little bit more distance, between you and the person behind you, you can breathe a little bit. But this guy's really kept me honest. As you can see right here in this final turn, at the final turn before the finish line, he almost passes me. See, he's actually racing really clean because he could have gotten to my slipstream and taken him out, but he's running a really clean race. I really appreciate that. This is good racing right here. Right here in this final turn, I don't know how. I don't know if I missed the turn a little bit. He almost passed me. Look how close that is. Third place, man. This one was one in the books. I didn't win, but this was a really awesome race. Thanks for watching, you all. So I guess I'll be back on the next time with another race and